thing is, I'm not even Hispanic. Like, I'm not even a Latino. No, like...
what?
Yeah, exactly. Like, my father is Greek and my mother is Korean. So I guess you put those two together and you get a Hispanic. And it's like, you're thinking about chicken wings, and that looks and that plays better than thinking about your mom. Think about chicken. It's in ancient Greek times, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to find locations, and we're trying to like shoot at the lake and Lake Lanier and the park, and in the background you see a boat. A modern day boat with a motor.
Alex, how you doing today?
Doing well.
You doing good? Myself? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Today's a good day. Going through a lot of stuff, but keeping it together as we all have to, right?
Thanks for having me on the Content Bebop. Love it.
Hey man, I'm glad you're here. But you're here because you're an actor and a director. Tell me about that. Like, which one do you gravitate more towards? Are you an actor first or director first?
Definitely actor first. I've always had this dream of being an actor for film and TV, and I started acting in 2017. I just kind of jumped right into it. Always had the dream though since I was a kid, but when everything is in California and you're growing up in suburbs of Georgia, it's like you're just kind of, that's just a dream. But then you grow up and all of a sudden the whole industry's coming to your town, your state, and it's just like, and you want to take advantage of that. So I, at 21 years old, was like, I'm going to throw myself into this dream. And I started out as an extra, was an extra on a lot of projects, Godzilla King of Monsters, Cobra Kai. And during that first year and a half, I, threw myself into classes and just really tried to understand acting because I had no stage background or anything. So, right. I got into it that way. And in 2019, I was like, all right, no more extra, no more background. Still going to take classes, but I'm going to go for it. Whatever speaking lines there are, no matter how small or big the part is, I want to go for it and apply what I've learned in class and reading books. So I the first year or so was all like drug, like cartel Hispanic guys. Like every single one had an accent, and
let's hear it. You got a good accent?
Yeah. Si, senor, or whatever you want. Yeah, really, that way about it. And always watching Scarface, and like say hello to my little friend, all that stuff. But yeah, so that's what kind of like got me. Because I grew up, inspired by Leo DiCaprio and Christian Bale, and Heath Ledger, and all these guys, Tom Hanks, Denzel Washington, all these powerhouses, right, leading men. And I was like, man, I just really want to. There's so much more in me, because another thing is, I'm not even Hispanic. Like, I'm not even a Latino. No, like
what?
Yeah, exactly. Like, my father is Greek and my mother is Korean. So I guess you put those two together and you get a Hispanic. But, it's all about your look. It's all about your look. It's all about your type.
I knew that, but right? I'm sure a lot of people were shocked.
Yeah,
what?
Right.
That's crazy.
Not even. No.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Javo is a Greek name. It was cut short. It's actually Giovanakis, but it's they came overseas and it got changed. But
okay.
But
you learned something.
Learn something new.
Some people learn something new every day.
Yep.
Not us though.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Okay. But yeah, I mean, because of that, I started. That's what got me into writing and directing, because I wanted to show what I could really do. I'd always been big goofball. Trying to do impressions of my grandmother's Korean accent at Thanksgiving. And Alex, you hungry? Straight face, all the love in the world. Through a straight face. You hungry? And then now it's like, you're getting too fat. What are you doing? Yeah, very, very blunt. Yeah. And then my grandfather is, a typical Southern vet. Hey, son, you got to work harder than anybody. Anybody.
Hey,
you got to have drive to be in any business. He's that way. And then my mom and sister think they're from California. Mom, I'm talking. Why are you interrupting me when Alex comes in the room? Love you, sister.
Sounds like it. Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to show what I can really do. So that's what got me into writing, directing.
Okay.
And COVID really pushed for that because it was all this time.
Yep.
The industry, everything is on hold. And so I started writing, directing my own stuff.
Well, okay. Next question, man. What's your specific style of acting versus directing? I think, if I remember correctly, directing, you're more of a collaborative director. You don't mind listening to others and what their opinions are and things, right? What about acting? How do you? Is there a process you go through? Like, how do you normally?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it depends on the character, depends on the script, because I trained when I first started acting, and still to this day, I trained with Robert Pralgo is one of my acting teachers. Cecilia Specht is another one here in Atlanta.
Oh.
And so I've practiced Stanislavski, which is like the method style with Cecilia.
Man.
And just the cool thing about Stanislavski and there's his overall scope of acting, taking it from the classical stage version to what Lee Strasberg, Stella Adler, and Sanford Meisner took to America from, because he's a Russian. He was a Russian teacher, and yeah, they took it to America and taught basically different aspects of it. Meisner's was more of a practical version where it's all about listening and reacting and bouncing off of your partner in the scene, and using them to motivate your next line or whatever. Stella Adler's was more imaginative, about using your imagination, very childlike, to create this world around you. And then Lee Strasberg was more of going in with utilizing things from either your past, things about you today, aspirations that you want, like all that stuff, and it really depends on the character. If there's a character that's a lot like me,
I hear you.
I may use more of Strasberg stuff, because then it's, I relate to this guy.
It's easy to go into.
And then if there's stuff like I'm playing a blood-sucking vampire, I may need to use some of my imagination.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I hear you.
I think Meisner is like very foundational, because to be, to be in a scene, you gotta be open to your surroundings.
Yeah.
Your the scene partners and all that. So I love diving into those things. One book that I recommend to every actor is The Power of the Actor by Ivana Chubbuck. When I first started acting, that movie helped me a lot. Learn about 12 steps and exercises to help you understand what you're doing as an actor. Finding what does your character want?
Mm-hmm.
What is in your character's way of getting what they want?
Oh man,
all those
deep.
Things. Yeah, all those things. Yeah.
Goodness.
So I love using all that stuff, and yeah.
Whew. Oh man. Okay. So would you describe acting as hard? Because as you dive into any craft, you learn more about it. Most people, I would assume, think acting is easy. Like people get paid to pretend to be somebody else. But as you're talking more in depth about it, and even I'm not very familiar with, it's a lot more deep. Would you describe acting as something being hard to do?
I think it depends on the individual. Some people, they pick up reading lines and whatever. And I mean, some guys, they, are really good at, getting the lines, and because it's such a natural, great ability to just like a photographic memory.
Yeah.
Some of the other things they just kind of don't do, and really it really just depends. Sometimes sometimes, like Tom Hardy said once, like, you could be, doing a scene, and it's like an emotional scene, and it's like to get you emotional, like you're trying to think about your mother or something, right?
Right.
And then it's like that, but then like you're also thinking about lunch. What's for lunch? Chicken wings.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's whatever reads better, right? Let's say you get emotional about chicken wings.
Yeah, I hear you.
And like it looks more emotional because the camera is just going off of the truth that's in your eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because directors always say eyes, but it's like how as an actor, how to access your eyes,
right?
Your thoughts,
mm-hmm.
And it's like if you're thinking about chicken wings, and that looks and that plays better than thinking about your mom. And think about chicken wings. I mean, Tom Hardy was saying, just go
I
with
hear
what
you.
works.
It just sounds
funny, right? Yeah, go with what works. I mean, so is it hard? It can be. If you're using certain techniques, and if the character is so far from you, and you got to do a lot of work to get there, it can be hard. Okay. But sometimes there's so many actors and people that it's literally them. Like some characters.
That's what I'm right.
If it's them and if it's their same name and everything, are you really acting, or are you just saying lines that
Which actors do you think just play themselves all the time?
Well, it's not that play themselves all the time. Well, I mean, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Mm-hmm,
one of my favorite shows ever. Will Smith. Mm-hmm. His name is Will Smith.
You're right.
One of my favorite shows was Drake and Josh when I was a kid. Their names were Drake and Josh. So the question to me would be, how much of that version of Drake was actually Drake?
True, right,
How much of that version of Will was actual? Because it's still make-believe.
True.
The show wasn't just poof out of thin air.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be written.
Mm-hmm.
These characters were brought. These actors were brought in. To tell
Right.
The actor just so happened to have the same name. They built it around them. Whatever. So it's like. So I'm sure those kind of roles. I'm sure they played closer to themselves.
Correct.
They
right.
can't be all the way.
They probably didn't have to dig as deep as somebody else would have to. Yeah.
And I know people always talk all the time about like, oh, Tom Cruise, and does he even know his characters' names and stuff like that? But it's like, get off Tom Cruise. Are you hanging off of a freaking airplane? There is green screens for that. He's not actually. So
right.
I think, let's give Tom Cruise a little more love.
Leave that man alone, man.
Riding off a cliff, all these
and he's been doing it for a long time too, man.
Long time.
Like, woo.
I mean, the photo of him at the top of the tallest building.
Yeah,
It's like this skinny little pole he's sitting on. I'm like, is this guy like?
He is crazy.
He's just laughing at death's face right now. Like, what is this?
Okay. All right, man. Just what are your thoughts in general about the indie film industry? I guess maybe even specifically here in Atlanta. Like, what are your thoughts on it? Like, do you think it's getting better? Do you think it's gotten worse? Like, is it toxic?
I would say part of my movie's success, or it hasn't come out yet, but I'm saying like being made, being finished,
right?
Getting
that's a success.
Delivered,
yes,
all that good stuff. It's because of the potential of the indie film market here in Atlanta. I mean, there are some awesome movies being made.
Yeah, there are.
One of my favorite movies that I've ever been in, I'll just give my boy Leyland Benford a shout out. Empathy. I mean, one of the best movies, independent film, like modern day, like, or today. Like, it's just, it's beautifully made. My movie I'm so proud of, Ambrosio. So there's a lot of great talented people here, And then when COVID happened and the strikes, and there was people that just wanted to work, and they're willing to, take a pay cut or whatever. And that's what can make artists like myself make it work,
right?
On a low budget or whatever. And so, there's a lot of potential here, and I think that, the independent films in Atlanta. They're trucking along. I mean, and then
yes,
like,
they are.
Platforms like Tubi and whatever give the filmmaker, the ability to put out their stuff.
How do you feel about Tubi?
I enjoy Tubi. I mean, for me,
as a filmmaker, you know, as a filmmaker yourself, you know, because
I mean, it has. I mean, it has a huge audience. It's everybody likes stuff that's free, right?
Right, of
it's
course.
free, but it's also great because when I was a kid growing up, you know, commercials were go to the bathroom.
Right.
You know, it's you watch a film, the commercials, all right, good, I gotta go pee. You know, it's like, so it's like I enjoy commercial break.
Yeah. And they're not horrible, you know.
Yeah, and so with Tubi, and it just keeps playing, right? So it's like, it to me is very close to like cable television.
Right.
And I like it that it's, you know, indie friendly to independent filmmakers. We can make our movies and get it out there, see it on something. You know, that's not just like YouTube or whatever. The ads being shown, that's great because with the ads being played, the filmmakers can get paid.
Exactly.
So it's like, you know, so it's so yeah, I love Tubi. A lot of filmmakers that I know do love Tubi. And yeah, so Tubi is great. Independent film here in Atlanta. You know, there's, you know, unfortunately, when everybody wants the same dream with being a successful filmmaker, there's going to be your unprofessional people.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, it's just, you know, you can't avoid it.
Right.
But it's like, look, every opportunity that I've had, speaking as an actor, on every set that I've been on, that like the film didn't work out, didn't get finished, whatever, I've always met somebody on that film set that has benefited me in my career, one way or the other. Like I was on one project, a Power Rangers fan film.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I saw it on your Instagram.
Yeah, it never got finished.
Oh dang!
But I met the producer, one of the producers of that, became my one of my investors for last couple of years.
Oh really?
With all my projects.
Dang!
And now we work together all the time. So it's like, what did I? Lost out on one project. Look at what I've gained. He's a huge part of Ambrosia being made.
Right.
You know? And and then networking events, going to meeting people. Yep. I met a producer there that's helped me the last couple of years as well. And it's just like, so I guess my advice to actors is, work, know your worth, obviously. Know what your goals are and what you're trying to do, what mark you want to leave on the industry and your career and stuff. But also be open to the possibilities. You could go to a set and crafty sucks, director sucks, whatever.
Oh, I hate a bad set with crafty.
Or if they even have crafty.
If they even have it.
But I mean, there could be a producer or a cinematographer or someone on that set that becomes your best friend.
That's true.
You know what I mean? It helps, and because that's what I did for my movie. For all these great people together that have helped me, or that I've worked very well with, and we made a movie. So.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff, man. All right. Any advice for people trying to get into this industry?
As an actor, as a filmmaker.
Dang, that's a good. You're right.
I guess as an actor.
Let's go actor.
Because I've been an actor longer.
Yeah. Let's go actor.
Advice for people getting into acting. One thing that they've, said to me when I first started was it's a marathon, not a race, and that's so true.
That is very true.
It takes time, to find, and once you get an agent, it doesn't mean that you've made it and you're going to be famous tomorrow. That's not the way.
That is not the case.
You get an agent that will help you. That is something to be happy about. You have an agent. You have someone else that's looking out for you in your career, trying to get you in the door.
Would you recommend that?
Absolutely.
You do? Okay.
Absolutely. And
how much is an agent? I'm sorry, I'm just curious. I'm just naturally curious. How much is an agent?
You don't pay an agent. If you try to,
you don't.
If you pay them, then like up front, then it's a scam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
that's
so
good to
the
know.
agent doesn't get paid until you get paid.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Why don't everybody have one then?
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
Well, the agent's gotta believe in you, and you've got to have
okay.
all the materials,
Okay,
your
okay.
headshots and stuff, and but yeah, I mean, typically, depending on the agent, they get a percentage of what they help you book.
Right.
If they send you on an audition and you book it, you both get paid.
Right.
So
Sounds fair.
yeah. So study, learn about acting.
Yeah, man. You seem like you've done your studying. Like,
Yeah.
I've never even heard those techniques.
Because from the outside, everybody's always like, "Oh man, fame and money, and it's so glamorous, brother." Don't get into it with just those things in mind.
Right.
Because when I started studying acting, I just love learning about people, because that's what it is. It's like the art of empathy.
Yes, it is.
I am searching for, with every character, I am searching for the truth of that person and trying to understand them. I was trying to understand Ambrosio the whole time. The years of being around, thousands of years, the feeling of guilt and regret, the lost love, whatever, the starving for physically for things, all that stuff, and so it's just I love it. I get obsessed about it. And yeah, I mean, those things. I mean, once you, because once you, you can know people, and then you can know your craft, right? But you have to have both, right?
Right.
It's like, if you know your craft so well, that's great, but you don't know anybody, how are you ever going to work? You have to get yourself out there.
You do,
but
correct.
Then if you just know people, you just know everybody, you're just so popular, you just know everybody, but then you show up to set and you suck.
Good
you
point.
don't know your lines.
Yeah.
It's like you're just making yourself look bad.
Yeah.
So it's like you might as well do the work and be prepared, know what you're doing. And then when you network and you meet people, then it's like, because it's like, I tell people all the time, it's, it doesn't take any talent to show up on time, to be prepared.
Yeah.
To be prepared, to have a good attitude. None of those things take talent. It only will help you, help them see the talent that you do have, because you're there, you have a good attitude, and you know your lines. So it's like, if you just cross off those boxes, you can really elevate.
You'll be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Most of your competitors, you'll be ahead of them. That's a good point to be made, man.
My movie Ambrosio, the first vampire. I mean, it's a Greek mythology story about the first vampire, and how a vampire, how vampirism, whatever, gets started, because you got to get bit, to be a vampire. But
of course.
But where did the first one come from?
Right.
And and so I came across this myth, and as soon as I saw the name Ambrosio, read it, I was like, I gotta play this guy. I gotta do this in a film. And I just got down to writing it, and I during that time I bought a camera, not knowing how to use one.
What cameras you buy?
It was a Canon EOS 80D.
Hey, right there, got you.
Yeah, right there. There it is. Beautiful.
That's one word to describe it.
Yeah. And 1080p and everything.
Yeah.
And and I got my mom, and I got actors. I wrote the script, and we shot a short film of Ambrosio. Of course, I learned a lot from then about how audio will break your movie if you don't get good audio and your camera, and it's in ancient Greek times, right? So I'm trying to find locations, and we're trying to shoot at the lake and Lake Lanier and the park, and in the background you see a boat, a modern day boat with a motor, stuff like that, and I'm having this majestic moment of going on this conquest, and then you see a park sign way in the background. I'm just like, so I learned a lot.
Yeah,
about,
you learned a lot.
That experience, and that was 2019, right before COVID. And I yeah, I just kind of put it on YouTube and just kind of like forgot about it, you know. Then the next several years, you know, I worked as an actor and worked on a lot of different sets, met a lot of great people, producers and cinematographers, editors, actors, everybody. And I was watching Renfield, Nicolas Cage's Dracula film.
Yeah.
With a buddy of mine, and I was like, I kind of like the way Nick is dressed right now. I kind of want to dress that way.
Yeah.
And he was like, we should make a vampire film. And I was like, funny you should say that, because I did. I made a really crappy one some years ago, and then he's like, well, let me check it out. And I'm like, you don't want to check this out, Johnny. If you check this out, our friendship's gonna be over. You're gonna be like, well, it's nice knowing you.
Yeah.
And so but he was like, can't be that bad. So I sent it to him, and he was like, it's not that bad. I've seen worse, dude. And I was like, okay. And he's like, yeah, there's a lot of potential here. We should do this.
Yeah.
We should make this, you know, a feature length. And I was like, okay. And so yeah, him, a buddy Matt Tangeman, we came up with like the general plot and story of what we would do. And in September 23, I added on a great screenwriter, Taz Lake, to you know, I wrote the first act or whatever, or first, you know, full length script, but it was a little short. It was like 35 pages, you know, beginning, middle, end. And I was asking him, could you help me like expand this? You know, and because we want it to be a feature length, and he totally, you know, took it and expanded it and made it, you know, what it is today, or before we, you know, started filming. And yeah, and then we were off to the races. I got, you know, all of my friends in the industry I could. A lot of great actors that I wanted to, you know, because when I'm casting my friends, you know, I want to challenge them and make it fun for them. Make it something they haven't really done before. And and one particular actor, Nakoa Salas, great actor. I mean, he's like always, he's like a very great comedic, physical Jim Carrey-esque type actor. And I was like, how would you feel about playing Dracula in this? You know, such an iconic character. He's been done so many times, and that's what's kind of cool, is like he's been done so many times. It's like, well, let's see what you could do with it.
Right.
And he just is such a great Dracula in this movie. I'm tickled to see him, who's usually so comedic, be so intense now. Like he's intense and just such a great
yeah.
You know, there's a lot of great performances in this. But so my co-lead, Angelina Bazzelli, my producer, script supervisor, assistant editor, she is so phenomenal in this movie. I mean, she moved here, same thing with A Dream, from Maine, you know, all the way up there, you know, and came down here for acting only 2 years ago. And she has, you know, 20 years on stage, you know, 20 years. And, you know, just, you know, starting in film down here. And I just think this movie, you know, is as successful for her as it is for me, because she put in so much into the character, into her performance as Sarah, and just, she'll make you laugh, she'll make you cry, she'll make you applaud.
She sounds amazing.
She's fantastic.
Okay, Jens, I had a question, why a vampire movie, but you kind of answered that already. So what was the process like for making it as a director versus as normally being an actor, you know? Or...
Well, I mean, as a director, you know, it was when and it's part of like when you write, you kind of like picture in your mind shots. At least for me, I mean, what really motivates me to write is if I, you know, am really inspired by an idea or a story or whatever. And part of when I read that first myth of Ambrosio, I wanted to first learn about vampires because I was never a huge like Twilight fan.
Yeah.
You know, I had seen Twilight, but I wasn't like
Right, I hear you.
dying about it. You know, and so yeah, I kind of dove in watching vampire films first and shows. Like, got really into the Vampire Diaries. Got into watching The Lost Boys and Interview with the Vampire and all these.
You did your homework.
Before I started putting pen to paper. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kind of got into it that way. I learned all that all that I could about vampire lore, and I wanted to, and it was also for preparation for the role.
Right.
Of course. Seeing what they look like, how they act, how others have done it, how can I make it different, how can I make it my own, and that's when once I got a good grasp of the vampire film history, I that's when I started writing it out, taking inspirations, of course, and then as I was doing that, there's all of a sudden shots that come in your head,
of course,
what you would want to see on screen, and then all these different characters and what I love about Ambrosio is it's not your typical vampire film. I mean, it's a Greek mythology, love triangle type of thing. There's a lot of things in it that you haven't seen in vampire films before.
Yeah, that leads me to the next question. Like, what sets this movie apart? Like, what makes this different?
Yeah, I mean, it's it takes on the love story themes of like Vampire Diaries and Twilight and those. The romance of like vampires and stuff. But it also is a great inspiration of like a little bit of Gladiator in there, a little bit of Hercules in there, Greek gods and Clash of the Titans type of thing, because it's in that world,
right.
But with vampires coming from that world,
it is. You're right. Yeah.
So it's different in that way. It's different because it's like the idea of, like history repeating itself, and being a constant loop kind of a thing with ancestors and stuff like that. And how I basically tried to take where the love triangle of Ambrosio from the myth and taking that, learning from the short film experience, making it modern day.
Right.
So we've got flashbacks of that ancient period, but the whole movie's not in ancient times. It's when Ambrosio is, this is years later, and it's modern day, and it's in Georgia, and this great locations, and we got this great house from the 1800s that we used for his house, because I was on set for a TV pilot years ago on this house, and that pilot was never completed. Yeah, like a lot of pilots are.
Yeah.
But I just could not get over that house. I was like, man, this is like Tim Burton Batman type of place.
Yeah.
This is like a vampire house. So I always kept that in my mind, and when I was creating the script, I thought about that house.
Yeah.
And one thing, as you would know about independent filmmaking, especially in Georgia, there's a lot of filmmakers that take advantage of utilizing one location or 1 to 3 and making it a very character-driven script.
You have to, yeah.
So just save up on your budget and just make it about, and that's what's great as an actor, because then it's like you really get to hone in on, the character and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of some of the pieces I did. Creating the script and then having the decision to direct it, and
Okay. Which do you prefer, acting or directing?
Always acting. I mean that's still my dream, is to live that life and be a great working actor. But through this journey, I have gotten a love for directing, and because that's not my only script I've written. I've written a couple other ones.
Oh, okay.
I've written feature lengths, shorts, and I would love to, I want to keep going for sure. That's why I opened up my production company, Javanakis Films, and I've got other scripts that we're trying to develop and stuff, and yeah. So
okay, any of those coming to life? Those other scripts, I mean.
They are they are in early development. I mean, scripts are done, and then it's on to, the logistics of what it would take to make them. My next film would be a gangster film, Enzo. I made a short film version of that in 2021. Won some awards. Did some well. Did well at some film festivals. And yeah, that one's another great script that I really would love to get off the ground in the next year or so.
What's special about it?
What's special about that one is that one's very close to me and my family. A lot of the characters are based on. It's basically an exaggerated version of my family. If we were, Italians in New York, New Jersey type thing. And the stakes of it being that life and it being life or death type of thing. It's basically like, I don't know if you've heard of the movie On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando.
I don't think so.
It's like in the 50s. Dang. But it's a great film. He won his first Oscar from that. And then Godfather was his second. But that film, there's a famous monologue where it's him and his brother, and his brother's part of like the mob, and Brando has to basically throw a fight because he's a boxer, and he has to throw the fight, like how a lot of fights were fixed back in that day.
Right.
And so basically, I kind of took that kind of idea. And because he describes that night that like ruined his life, basically making that decision. How his life's kind of been downhill ever since. And so there's elements of that film, Scarface, Rocky, Godfather, of course, Goodfellas, and that kind of a film. My favorite directors are Scorsese and Tarantino and Sylvester Stallone, and so.
Those are good ones to like. I hear you.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that would be the next one. I definitely. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to do it. I have to do it. Like it's been like on my mind for years.
I hear you.
Now.
Okay.
Years.
I hear you. I know what you mean. I
made the short film to pitch to producers. This is what I want to do. What do you think? And there's a lot of producers that I've worked with that want to back it. It's just about it's about timing. It's about timing and budget and all that good stuff. And so we'll see how Ambrosio does.
I feel you. I understand. So staying on that, man, talk to me. Who shot it? Who shot it for you?
Ambrosio.
Yeah.
Dwayne Bontrager. I like to call him.
That's a name.
I like to call him Dwayne the Rock Bontrager because he's awesome.
Is it? I mean, why did you go with him? What made you?
So Dwayne. I really hope Dwayne sees this. Dwayne's a great guy. His company, Twin Media Productions, him and his twin brother, make films and content. And they, I met Dwayne on the 48-hour film project.
Okay.
Yeah, he was always either DPing it or editing it and stuff like that. And he's actually won the competition. In 25 years, he's been in film, and he's won it like 5 times. And he's just won just all kinds of just festivals and cinematography, editing, all that stuff, sound design. He's just awesome behind the camera.
Dang.
And so after working with him on a couple projects, I was like, man, I really am impressed with your work. Can you come on this journey with me? And he said, of course. And because we both enjoyed working together. And he DP'd my film. He edited it. He even helped produce it. And so this is definitely his baby as well, I would think.
Is this you all's first time working together?
First time working together on the on a feature film.
Okay, right.
So we did shorts before.
Oh,
and
okay,
then,
okay,
and then
okay.
this was his first feature film.
Oh, okay,
too.
right. So he was
And,
excited.
yeah, excited and also nervous. Because
Yeah.
it's a commitment. And so the way I put it together was I was like, well, listen, Dwayne, how about we do it like this? Why don't we shoot, 1 weekend a month? Treat it like a 48, and that way, it gives you time. After we wrap, a whole month to edit what we just shot.
He edited it as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you could edit it while we're, while we're shooting it. So
Right,
it's
yeah.
like, then when we're in post production, you're not overwhelmed with all this footage, right?
Uh-huh.
And so it made things a lot easier for him and I to grasp.
Yeah.
We could, talk about the edits and stuff like a whole month before our next shoot.
Yeah.
And,
How long did it take y'all to shoot this film?
So we shot. It took us 7.5 days in total. But
okay.
But it was January, February, March. We did a weekend those months. We took April and May as a break because there was like shoots that came up.
Right.
And then we finished it June. June of last year, 24. So
goodness.
Yeah, but then because of all that time editing, we had the first official draft of the film done in September of 23.
Okay.
So and then we had something to, for my representatives to then pitch, with sales agents and distributors, like, hey, we've got this film. Are you interested? So we had that towards the end of last year, and then got signed, and then
I do have another question. Like, what was like the most? I don't know. Like, what was the most challenging thing about it? Well, obviously, budget constraints creates these creative opportunities, But what was it? Locations? Was it getting the right actors? Sounds like you and your DP and editor, I had a great thing going, so that couldn't have been a problem.
I'll tell you. So, the most challenging thing, I would say, there's different parts of it that were challenging. I would say pre-production. What was most challenging for me pre-production, not really as a director and not really as a writer or as a producer. All that stuff was organized and my investors were all committed. As an actor, I watched all those vampire films and I was like, these guys all have like crazy jawlines. And they're all skinny and all, And so I was like, you're 215. There are no fat vampires in movies.
That was not.
You need to lose some weight.
I feel
So I began to lose weight. I lost 40 pounds.
How'd you do that?
I basically only ate 3 days a week.
Dang.
So I would fast and work out, and I would not eat Monday, Tuesday, and then I would eat Wednesday. Thursday and Friday I wouldn't eat, and then I would eat on the weekends.
Goodness, man.
So basically, and then I'm running like crazy. I was on the treadmill for 2 hours a day.
Really?
And then I was lifting weights an hour first, and then I was on the treadmill. Another thing, too, was, so I started at 215, and I got down to 174 when we started shooting. And so keeping the weight down, because then if you're playing an Italian, like I was playing an Italian vampire. What do the Italians like to eat? Spaghetti, pizza, right? So it's like, so I'm trying to, balance, because, when I'm playing a role, I want to, feel like the character, understand the character. I'm eating Italian food, which is my favorite food anyway.
Of course.
But I'm trying to, get all that stuff, and one thing about losing the weight too was great was I got to understand a little bit about, vampires aren't real, but it's like vampires are constantly hungry,
right? That makes sense. Yeah.
And they're thirsty, hungry for blood, right? So it's like, for me, if I'm understand being hungry for like food, it's like there's that substitute there, right? Where it's like I can kind of have a way in to understand what it's like to maybe be a vampire. You know,
dude, that's some commitment,
right? Yeah,
man. All right,
that illusion, right?
Yeah, no, that's great.
So it was like that on top of like looking the part. You know, so I wanted to look thin. I wasn't pumping weight. You know, pumping the weights to be muscular. I was just trying to just burn out every part of my body possible.
I hear you.
And another part of it was the accent. You know, I got a dialect coach, Joseph Joseph Sfrigola.
Oh man,
from Italy.
Okay.
And great guy. He's a composer and beautiful musician. And he would coach me on. I would send him words and dialogue and some of my Italian lines and hear how he says it, record it and repeat it, and have it on repeat. And one time, I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
There was one time I met with him at my favorite Italian restaurant, Perfino's, here in Atlanta. And
I gotta go. Okay.
And I went there with him and Kennesaw, and he was. I was asking him, so what's like the biggest difference about like Italian food in America versus Italy? And he's like, it's too big. It's too big here in America. It's too big. You know, I mean, we go and eat there, and we love to eat, but it's not as big. That's why everyone here is big. And so I just, stuff like that I just thought was really fun to poke or to, take and roll.
And
then watching films just constantly. When you're sitting there on the treadmill for 2 hours every day, it gets pretty boring. So it's like, because I'm like running the first hour and then I'm walking the first hour, trying to just get the steps in.
Yeah.
And 15,000 steps a day, that kind of thing with the watch.
Woo.
And so I wanted to hear not only his voice, but I also wanted to hear how American actors picked up Italian accents for their movies. So a couple that I kept on repeat was I love the movie Ferrari just came out that Michael Mann did with Adam Driver and I love that movie. So I bought that movie and just had it on repeat. And then House of Gucci with Adam Driver again and Lady Gaga, which they were awesome in that movie as well. And and other films. 8.5 was an Italian movie. A buddy of mine recommended, and so just like getting my hands on on not only vampire movies, but also movies, shot by Italian filmmakers in Italy, and then like American movies that are about Italian culture, and so stuff like that. And so that was probably what was challenging, was getting into the role as the actor, those things. And then it was during production. So here's a nightmare on independent film. So we shot. So we're on our 7th day. We shot 6 days, smooth sailing. We were killing it. We shot 19 pages in one day once. It was like just rocking and rolling. We were in sync.
Okay.
I had great actors, dude. I only picked actors that I didn't even audition them, because it's like I've already worked with them as an actor on other people's sets.
Yeah.
So I know what they're made of, and I know. And by talking to them, they're seasoned. They got agents. They audition. They're on set all the time, And if there's an adjustment that needs to be made, then I'll tell them. But it's like they're not new,
Right.
So it's like, so they are awesome. We were killing it. The crew, these were all crew guys that and girls that I've worked with before, and so all that was cool. But nature, you know where I'm getting.
I do know where you're getting at.
Okay, so we're filming on our 7th day, and it's outside in June, and rain likes to come in here and there. Like, it's coming in and then it stops. It's coming in. So when it comes in, we're like, oh shit. So we're like grabbing all the equipment, putting it under a tent, stuff like that was holding us up. Batteries weren't charging. We were like, oh my God. And so stuff like that, where it was like, what is going on today? Like, what Did I step on a crack? Did I pick up a penny that was on tails? What did I do for this, day to happen like this? But, so that was a test of definitely my character as a director and as a leader. Because when you're directing, it's all about how you carry yourself, because that's what everybody feeds off of on a set, And so I kept my composure. I just said, guys, we just got to keep pushing. That's really all you can do. And so the batteries would charge just a little bit, and we'd go and shoot, and then we would, just keep little by little, just kept doing it. And it was like while it was charging, we rehearsed. There was fight scenes happening that night. There was all those things. We pivoted some location. Thank God we had not only a field we were trying to ship, but also a barn. So we had under the barn to do some stuff in, and yeah. So that was very challenging.
I'm sure it was
for that on set. Post production, the challenge was, when it comes to when you're the director, and it's your movie, it's your kid, right? It's your baby. And you've got your vision, and it's like you have your vision, but it's also when you have other people involved that are helping you make your movie, producing it, repping it, trying to sell it. We all have the same goal for this film to be as successful as it can be, right? Not only for our, money we could potentially make, but also our reputations and names attached to the film. We all want it to be the best it could be. So part of being a good leader, it's putting your ego to the side, and it's about, hearing out everybody's ideas, right? Because you may not have the best idea,
right?
It's just like if there's 5 of you guys or whatever, and it's like you all have, ideas for a scene or for a cutting of a scene or whatever, and it's like it's not about because I'm the director, it's my way or the highway. You're only going to shoot yourself in the foot. Right. And that doesn't mean be a pushover and be like,
I know what you mean. Right.
But it's like, hear them out. Make a decision. And be honest with yourself about, wow, that is a better idea. Because it's only going to make the film better,
No, I hear you.
And it's like, and so, so that was a big challenge. So that was a challenge for me in post, was learning to, kind of let go of the reins a little bit. And be like, more listening, understanding.
Who are you listening to?
My producers. My producer's rep, Phil Blattenberger, who came on as like a mentor to me.
Oh, okay.
As well, he's a successful filmmaker and has done movies with Harvey Keitel.
Man, okay.
Hollywood type stuff that I worked on as an actor on 2 of his movies, and he was gracious enough to, when I asked him about film as a director and as a producer, because I was like, I want to make my own film. Could you help me understand what I need to do for it to be successful and delivering and all that good stuff? So his points of view. My producers, Dwayne Bontrager and Angelina Pozzelli, who also co-leads in the film. All those things. Hearing them out, and yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's a different style. Every director has their own special kind of style. Some don't like to listen, and it is their way or the highway. It's their way or get off my set. But some do like to. Some do like to listen. I think that's a stronger director. I think, like you said, you may not always have the best idea.
Hiring them.
Right.
For what? For their expertise.
I agree.
Right.
Especially on this scene, on the indie level, let's collaborate a little bit. It's a lot of pressure on everybody here, So no, I understand. 3 questions.
Okay.
Top 5 vampire films.
Top 5 vampire films.
Top 5 vampire specific films. You said you did a lot of research. What were the top 5?
Man, Interview with the Vampires first for me.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I don't know, man.
The original, right?
Yeah. When I saw that thing with Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise. From the outside, you're like, oh, okay. but then when you watch it, you're like, oh, like, you know, because it's always up there, you know, on lists. And then when I watched it, I was like, I see why. I see why.
I need to watch it again as an adult.
Yeah, it's great. I love Interview with the Vampire. I loved The Lost Boys, just like a classic 80s vampire.
Seen it. I keep hearing about
how
good
it's
it is.
cool, dude. I like The Lost Boys.
Okay.
I love Dracula, Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula with Gary Oldman playing Count Dracula.
Yeah.
That was
great. My mom used to watch that all the time.
Yeah,
it scared the hell out of me as a
Great,
kid.
yeah. Vampire films. So that's 3.
That's 3,
Another 2, and these, I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to put them in order. But so it would be 4th. Definitely, I like Dracula Untold, but I really enjoyed. I don't know. I enjoyed Renfield.
Oh, really?
I enjoyed. Renfield.
I've only seen scenes, but yeah,
I enjoy Renfield. Nick Cage's Renfield.
I like
you know, with action and horror fitting so well together, and not that Deadpool is not a horror movie,
right.
But it's just that humor and like it just. When I watched Renfield, I was like, this is literally like Deadpool.
Oh, really?
Type of stuff, but it's like it's bloody and it's funny, and Nick Cage is just awesome as Dracula. I'm trying to decide. I can't say Nosferatu because I haven't seen it.
Right.
I know it's a crime.
Right.
I know I'm gonna go to jail, go to the little vampire jail, and just die there. But I would put Nosferatu on there, but I haven't seen it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to the people. If I watched it, I'm sure I'd say yes, top 3. But I haven't seen it yet. So what I have seen, I've needed some cleansing from the vampire stuff. That's why I haven't seen it yet. But I will watch it eventually. So I guess I'd have to say Dracula Untold.
Okay.
I really dig that origin of the iconic character of Dracula. Yeah, and a bonus, I would say, the scariest Dracula that I saw was Last Voyage of the Demeter. That one was. Okay. I saw that shortly after Renfield came out, and I was like, "This is scary."
Oh, really?
It was so scary.
Oh, wow!
They made him look like a human bat monstrous thing.
Dang.
Yeah, it was like this. It's like the story of him being transported on the boat to London and whatever. And yeah, it's. Yeah.
Okay. Hey man, I'll get that.
But I hear Nosferatu's better.
Oh really?
Scarier and
scarier.
So much better.
Everything just so. Okay. All right. I just want to add one in. Man, I saw Let the Right One In, the original one. The one with, I can't remember if it was Sweden or Swedish, but anyway, but that was a great vampire movie. Yeah. It's like a little girl. Anyway, it was a really good movie.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, they remade it.
I saw the trailer.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I saw
man.
the trailer to that.
If you get a chance, it was really good. Okay, next question. Best vampire actor.
Best vampire actor.
Yeah, or actress, who do you think?
Oh, man.
Who does it best,
I really enjoyed I'm trying to think of the actor's name. Ian Somerhalder, Vampire Diaries. He plays Damon Salvatore.
Oh.
And I just loved watching that guy. He was just like so iconic, so and just very his eyes and his eyebrows, and he's got such a great arc throughout the show.
Oh, I haven't seen it. Okay.
He comes out, he's just this ruthless, vampire, and then he turns out to be this sweetheart, and it's just he's awesome. Ian is awesome.
Okay.
If somehow Ian sees this, God bless you. Just freaking love you, man. That was great. He's my favorite.
Okay. And let me ask you, which vampire power would you choose, man? If you could be a vampire, just one. You can't pick all.
One vampire. Gosh, it's like asking the Superman question.
I know, right?
Speed.
They got everything, right?
Eternal life would be more vampire stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, I would probably say, as much as I want to say flying,
Yeah.
I feel like, I'm always in a rush all the time to make things. So I feel like super speed would work in my benefit. I'd say flying, but let's be real, I'm afraid of heights. So I'm probably going to throw up the minute I start floating. So I'll probably enjoy super speed.
I hate you. I think I'm picking the same. I hate you. Okay.
Probably.
All right, man. Where can people see the movie? When's it releasing? Where can people see it?
Ambrosio, the First Vampire, comes out March 11th. On Amazon, Fandango, Vudu, Walmart online for the DVD, Vimeo, and So March 11th, it drops on all those.
For the DVD? There's a DVD release?
DVD coming out, yeah. For Ambrosio.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know they... I mean, I know that obviously you can do it, but you don't hear that. People don't...
DVD's coming back, man.
They are they? Okay, I didn't think so. All right.
It's just what I in the email said. Got it on DVD too.
That's what's up, man.
Awesome.
Okay, man. Where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at my name, Alex Javo, AlexJavo, all one word. On YouTube, Alex Javo again, or Javanakis Films, my YouTube channel. IMDb is my name. Google my name. You'll see.
Sounds easy enough to find. Very easy. Okay.